the interesting concept that came up, actually, the interesting thing that came up before we came on live here in the spot, well, not live, but recording on this podcast was, where does each person stand in regarding dating? And it's interesting how the three are different phases of dating, and that's how each found someone or met someone and where they may now. So this is going to be interesting. Whereas Sareth, we're coming out of a pandemic. You're mostly online, right? Am I correct on that?
Yep, mostly online. I still attempt to meet people in real life, but we know how much work you do.
So let me ask you this, Sareth. What are you seeing now, dating-wise, coming out of a pandemic?
I see a lot of hungry men that aren't really patient anymore. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay, what exactly you mean they're not patient for what?
I don't know. I feel like, before the pandemic, it wasn't a great pool of options to begin with. Let's just say that. I mean, I think that online dating is interesting because no matter what you do to filter out the bad ones or the ones that aren't your style, you're still left with some unpredictable ones. Oddly enough, one of my worst dates was somebody I met in real life.
Now, is this after the pandemic?
This is before the pandemic.
Okay.
I met somebody casually gambling, playing blackjack at a casino. And,
now, if I'm correct, this is the person you were dating during the pandemic, correct?
No, this is a different one. This is way before the pandemic. But
they just start with, I met him at a blackjack table.
Yeah. What's usually
somebody who has a life, somebody who has a sense of humor, somebody who is just they're not going to change to play a role to fit into someone else's mold. Like this is who they are, and they're a good time.
How do you find that online when you're just seeing pictures in someone's post? Profile or whatever they want to put up there.
Well, I mean, there are certain people that within 20 minutes you haven't stopped laughing. Like sometimes it's just a good banter back and forth, and to me that can happen. It's happened before, and it could still happen. There are people out there that are similar to people like us, where we're funny and we're just, well, I think I'm funny. Maybe the rest of the world doesn't anymore. But
and he met someone based on sliding into someone's DM with the first something like just the first word out of your mouth. Explain, Jack, to the listeners how you met the person you met, basically sliding into DM and basically using your first set of words to. I'm assuming it was the first set of words to get him to engage in you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, I came out of a really toxic relationship and I had my summer free for once. And, I tried to meet people out, but there weren't a lot of people out. You couldn't go to other tables. So it really restricted what you could do and, kind of mingle with people. So I remember I woke up one morning and she had dated somebody I used to work with. So we were friends on social. She had some story up asking about like what kind of drink to mix something with. And I was laying in bed hungover as hell and I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, I'll reply. She didn't have any pictures of her ex-boyfriend on there anymore. So I was like, oh, whatever. So first time I've ever really done that. And I think I said like tequila and something. And she replied, and literally within a few minutes of it, and we were just, went back and forth from there all day, ended up meeting that night. It was kind of a funny story, but, from just a casual conversation, a quick response to a story, it just turned into something fluid.
And you weren't even looking for it either, right?
No, I wasn't even looking. I had no intentions or anything. I was hanging out with my buddy that day, haven't seen him in a while. So I was just kind of planning on a day with my friend, and it just turned into, hanging out with him, and it turned into us actually being in the same town she lived in that night. She came and met us for a beer, and it just went from there. So it was a pretty crazy story.
And you've been dating for how long now?
A year come July 9th.
Okay.
But wow, that's specific. Good for you.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, I'm a good boyfriend. I remember that stuff.
Wow.
But no, I mean, this girl's awesome. She's great.
You don't do the online dating, but you met someone in real life. But your situation is a little different because, you're a single mom, and you had single mom for about 3 years, I think you said, and you finally met someone before the pandemic, which was probably a bonus considering you would have been locked up away from everyone for the rest, for a good part of a year or so. So what can you give for advice to single moms who are trying to, or even single dads who are trying to go out there and, meet people and start dating again, especially with having a child or children?
You have to be ready for it. I was not ready for it. I needed to just focus on my daughter and being a single mom and trying to work and balance her with my schedule and her sports and everything. There was no way I can add a man into the equation. And when I did try to add a man into the equation, it just wouldn't work. They either wouldn't understand if I had to cancel sometimes, or they're very selfish. The ones that I dated anyways were very selfish. So it wouldn't go past that 1 or 2 dates where I was like, this is not going to work. You have no idea what it's like to be a single mom. You have no compassion for the fact that I'm raising a little girl on my own and we're never going to do this. But that's also the reason why I probably like have such a hard time with the online dating. Because even those guys that are like, oh, I have a daughter or I have a child, maybe want more. Like, I don't know, that just makes me cringe a little bit too. So it's hard. And, you know, people will say, I understand. But really, like, you don't have 100% of the time to give to someone. So you have to, when you're ready for it, have to find someone that understands that, but also know when it is time to make that time too, I think.
Well, that's good. And it seems like you were able to finally meet someone and you know, move forward, especially during a pandemic where you probably maybe spent a little more time than usual and get to know someone.
Thank goodness. I feel like you get to know somebody very intimately when you don't want to talk to anybody else. So thankfully it all worked out, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
And you actually,